That was awesome.
It's Bigfoot Collectors Club with Bryce and Michael.
That's what I get for small talk.
Take
that, small talk.
around here.
Go storage too.
What's your favorite color?
Let's do this.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bigfoot Collectors Club, the show where we share personal paranormal histories with amazing guests and tell tales of high strangeness. I'm your host, Michael McMillan. With me always is your other host,
Bryce Johnson.
and your trusty producer.
Riley Bray.
And with us today, we're with a demon.
This is how demons sound.
Ooh,
Awesome.
you know, if demons... That would make a lot more sense if demons sounded like that. Because you'd
that'd
be
be
like,
awesome.
let's go hang out, demon. You seem nice.
You seem nice. And
Super friendly.
Our demonic guest today, she is an actress. You've seen her in Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce. You may have seen her in the new TV series The Resident. She's been in a ton of stuff. She was also in Captain America Civil War. She's met Tony Stark. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Julianna Guill.
Yay!
Thank you.
Hello,
and I
Julianna.
just so appreciate you pronouncing my name correctly.
Well,
That's really
you know,
impressive.
I've fucked up before,
Yes,
and
you
I'll
have.
never do it again.
That's right.
Paid the price.
Not your name, but on this show, I've definitely. But the listeners will never know, because that's where Riley Bray comes in to fix things.
Sometimes. That's
So
right.
you met Tony Stark. I
I
want to talk about
did.
this. I'm a huge comic book nerd, so
All right, let's talk. He's a lovely man. He has his own base camp. I think people probably talk about that.
on the set.
That's right.
Wait, so can you explain to our listeners who may not be Hollywood types, what, first of all, what a base camp is?
Well, it's when you jump out of an airplane and you
Whoa, I've been doing it wrong.
Yeah, really.
A base camp is where all the trailers are, where they put makeup on you and you get dressed, and you know, if you are, if you're like I am, you're usually in a very, very small trailer.
Yeah.
It's like the pre-hub before you go to set.
That's right. It's where you
Hang
sit
out in a honey
and
wagon.
wait and try to think of things to do to make your time on this planet worthwhile. And you bring your computer and you never use it. It's stuff like that. You take naps
It's very true.
sometimes
I'm
that
a
are
big napper.
Yeah. Take naps, but naps are, for me, naps are fucking stressful because you're just always waiting for that, like,
Knock on the.
Oh, right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they say, we'll come get you in maybe an hour.
Right.
Also, maybe not. So
I'm always like, it's always naps, or like when I finally decide I'm gonna drop a deuce, and I'm in the bathroom,
Right.
and they're like, bang, bang, bang. Michael, just a minute.
They're like, Michael, you're not
Excuse
pooping,
me.
are you? Because we need you.
excuse me.
It's always one of the two.
It's really
I've
quite
just
terrible.
drifted off,
Or that.
and I don't like to poop in public. In fact, I don't.
You need
ever
your own
poop.
base camp.
I
Sounds
do.
Like.
I need my own base camp. So Robert,
I really, but
RDJ's got his
before we
own.
even keep going, I just can't wait for some of my best friends to listen to the first 3 minutes of this and think to themselves, Jules hates talking about poop.
Well, we're done. We're done with it. We're done.
Okay, Robert Downey Jr. He's a lovely man. I only worked with him for a day, but he couldn't have made me feel more welcome or more part of the team.
One of the
Part of the
Avengers.
Avengers.
He did, and
awesome.
but he does have his own base camp. In that next to main base camp, all the trailers and the wardrobe and the hair and the makeup and etc. is an entirely different base camp with an Airstream trailer, his own hair and makeup trailer, a trailer that I think his chef cooks in,
Sure.
and then a trailer where he hangs out. I think
The
there
hangout
might
trailer.
be 4 or 5 different.
And why
trailers.
not?
When
And
you're
he-
Iron Man,
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but hey, he's a very nice guy.
Great.
Except there's, obviously there's an electric fence around the trailer, and if you touch it, you get it.
yes, yeah. No, that goes without
Yeah.
saying. And we all read TMZ about your arrest,
That's right.
trying to climb over the electric fence to get closer to.
We would have done
Robert
it
Downey
too.
Jr.
So.
Thank you. I don't feel ashamed
No,
about
you
that.
shouldn't.
Mm-mm.
You
No.
absolutely
I
shouldn't.
think recovery's been really good for you.
Thank you.
And you look fantastic.
Thank you so much.
So before we get started, I wanted to bring up a couple things. One, I watched the Planet Weird has this miniseries out, or it should be out. May not be out yet, but
on the
we
18th,
got
January 18th.
Okay, so it might be out by now, depending on when this drops. I watched that the first 2 episodes of their documentary series called Hellier, which is about, or it's Hellier, about Hellier, West Virginia? No, Kentucky. Duh. And it's this super creepy documentary about the Planet Weird team investigating stories, random email that they got about a guy who said, this guy who claimed to be a doctor living in Hellier, Kentucky, and that his house and his wife and kids have been tormented by little bald creatures. His children call them the bald children.
They tap
looking
on
in
the
their windows,
yeah,
and running around in their front yard.
Nope.
And it's very similar to this story from 1954 called the Hopkinsville Goblins, which
the Hopkinsville Goblins.
We covered with Paul F. Tompkins back on episode 4. But anyway, I was supposed to go to bed so early, and I stayed up. I watched that shit. It was great,
bro. That documentary has sent me down the rabbit hole for the last 7 days. I've been reading
You've been underground.
Oh my God!
Literally, because they think these things come from these old abandoned mine shafts that run all through this cave system that runs all
across America, really,
and all underground Kentucky beneath Kentucky.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna watch it, but just to get some clarity here, they believe that these are actual physical beings of this world.
Here's the
they
thing.
are living here. They're tiny little people.
They have
goblins.
a picture of it, and it's footprints. The picture is pretty fuzzy.
I
bet it is.
Or they're either terrestrial and living underground, or they are slipping in and out of interdimensional portals that are located
within the caves.
Within the caves.
Yeah.
Get ready to have your motherfucking mind blown.
Oh my gosh.
What's
But here's the thing.
What's fascinating,
they've also so far not found a goblin, and this whole thing could be a setup. And there were literally parts in the documentary where I was like, is this all meta-narrative? Is this all like the Planet Weird people doing an amazing job of like planting the seeds for a long-term I started watching and I was like, what if this is the future of storytelling where like you start planting seeds on a website and then 3 years later you go film it. So you have all this sort of like fake documentary worthy evidence that you can build like a new horror movie out of, making it seem like like Blair Witch times 10. You know, a lot of a long term. It would take a lot of long term planning.
What was that? Remember?
Which, if that's the case, it'd be fascinating. But I think it's for real, and we got to get those guys on the show,
dude.
What was that? It was like It was like early 1900s or mid 1900s. The radio program.
War of the
Worlds in the 30s. Yeah.
30s.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Where people exactly like this could be like and I think that they're investigating a real thing, but it made me think.
Yeah,
you could really like con some people in the long run,
man. I think
with a really well done, well executed, well thought out.
I don't think they're
on. Should we bury a Bigfoot skeleton in the backyard?
Yeah, and then leave it there for 10 years. Yeah,
I love it.
That's not a long enough game. Leave it there for 200 years.
Now you're talking.
For the next generation.
Oh, yeah. Just tell your children and your children's children.
Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, check out Hellier. It's pretty great.
We highly recommend
Hellier. And how are we watching Hellier?
It's going to be out on
is it YouTube?
it'll be out on YouTube.
But why have you guys watched it?
We got an advance.
We got a pre-screen of the first 2 episodes. Now there's only 5.
We have a
and what's great about it is they're offering it.
Talk about this stuff.
They're offering it for free. So, and it's on it'll be on YouTube, I believe, Hellier TV.
Okay.
And Vimeo and Amazon.
We'll find out.
I've never heard of any of those things, but I'll look them up.
It's for millennials.
I'm a millennial.
Well, I guess that's true.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Oh, Blubby.
But yes, I loved it too, man, and I'm still reeling from it. So,
do our listeners think that you talk to me like that?
I know. I had to be like underneath.
You should clarify that.
I have Nova next to me. I said it very quietly. Oh, Blubby. So tell us, puppy.
Oh, no.
What's your personal paranormal history?
Oh no. Oh no. Oh, my phone. I thought I didn't get service here, guys, but apparently I do.
You're cool.
Lots of phone buzzing.
We don't. Juliana,
Yes,
what is your
Michael.
personal paranormal history? We ask our guests who come on the show, have they had a strange experience? Have they seen ghosts? Have they seen strange lights in the sky? If they haven't, are they open to the experience?
I'm
Where do you
dead.
fall? Oh, wow. You took
The
it one step
BCC
further.
first.
Yeah. And you are the ghost.
I am the ghost.
Wow.
That's awesome.
You're welcome.
How are you drinking that coffee? Because I thought it just runs right through ghosts.
Ghosts can do things people don't know they can, like live or be alive and just be people.
Oh.
Yeah.
So like a zombie.
No, just
Oh.
like a person.
Now the way you're saying it, I'm scared because I think you might be a ghost.
I think
I'm
we
gonna need
probably
some more
might all be
convincing.
ghosts.
You're either a demon or a ghost.
None of this is real. Okay, my personal paranormal mystical history. I think let's take it back. Let's start with some stories I grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
So I am not a skeptic. I would say I am always open and not looking, but appreciative of synchronicity and connection.
Hell yeah.
And as I was growing up, there were a couple of stories my parents would tell that have always really stuck with me. And they center around this family. So my parents met in California. They lived in Northern California. They're both East Coasters. My mom, North Carolina. My dad, Virginia, as you would say. And they met on a blind date in Northern California. And they got married and they had my sister, Lucy. And when my mom was pregnant with Lucy, they would go to a video store and rent movies. And this I know. It's very nostalgic. The Isles of Blockbuster, or Ace Video, as I grew up with.
Hollywood Connection.
My gosh, she was calling me.
Stanley, down near Stanley Station.
Sure, that too. You know, everybody's got their video store. So.
I'm nodding.
Michael's nodding. So my mom was pregnant, and they would go to this video store, and this young girl worked behind the counter. We'll call her Kara. I'm not supposed to use
With
their
a K.
names. Sure, Kara with a K.
Is this a haunted video store?
It's not.
Michael?
Tale because
Just let her tell the story.
excited.
Damn it, Michael. You ruined it. What if it was? And I was like, well,
Oh, there's
that's
Well, you
the
said-
Wouldn't be the
fucking end
first
of the
time.
story. Okay, so young girl worked behind the counter, and she was really excited watching my mom go through this pregnancy, and my mom and dad would come together, and she offered to babysit when the baby came. And my parents didn't have they didn't have family in town, and it was a very nice offer, and they were very open to it.
A note to listeners, if there's a strange woman in your life who's very excited about the baby that's growing in your
I'd love to
uterus,
babysit your unborn baby.
you need to just disconnect from that person in your life.
That's a hilarious male perspective. Any pregnant woman is like, yes, thank you so much. Great. When will you be over? Awesome. Sounds good. So wrong, but it's okay. That's fine. You're doing
I'm
your best.
rarely right.
You're doing the best you can.
This is very true.
So-
As evidenced
Don't
by
mind the
me
jerk,
being
Julianna.
40 and having a Bigfoot podcast.
Sure.
This is the best I can do.
This is his child.
So Lucy's born, and at some point, before Lucy's born, at the video store one day, my parents are there, and so are Kara's parents. What should we call them? Let's
Kara's
see.
parents?
Kara's parents. Well, they need to be specific. We'll call them Mark and
Sheila? Okay.
You know what? My mom did give me a name to call her, and it was really good. So hold on. Let's see.
How about Rebecca?
How
Hold
about Elsbeth?
Hold on.
Bielsa.
Just hold on. I liked the name. I'm going to use it.
Okay.
Guinevere.
Podcast where we
She's-
just say ladies' name.
Abstract.
Darla.
Julianna's holding her phone up to her ear.
Darlene.
I've never seen a person use a phone like that before. It's like she's holding one of those old bucket, those tin cans with a string on it.
Damn it, I just missed it.
Well, we do have a talking podcast. We're trying to fill some air.
You know, we could just cut this.
Nope.
1 second.
This is a time for the listener to take some
It was a really good name. I'm glad we did it.
Oh, good. Okay.
Worth it.
So they met her parents. We'll call them Mark and Menta.
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 I just really like
Wait a
Eminem.
minute. Your mom came up with a fake name called Menta.
I like your
My
mom.
mom's fucking smart
Hey,
and
man.
pretty cool.
Menta's not even real.
We would have never came up with that.
Guys, I think we can all assume it's inspired by her real name, and it's
Yeah.
probably just a rhyming riff, so I wouldn't go too deep.
So your parents are there.
So
Mark
my parents
and
are there,
Ment
Mark and Menta are there with their daughter Kara, and they meet briefly. That happens. So Lucy's born, and she's 3 weeks old, and my parents both come down with the stomach flu. And they are like extremely ill, and they're looking at each other thinking, you know, you have kids, you know what this is like. It's like you have
Just
a 3-week-old
pointing at
baby, and you're thinking, oh no, we're gonna die.
Right.
We're all gonna die. And how are we gonna do this today? And this knock came at their door, and they opened the door, and it was Mark and Menta, and they said, "We're here to take the baby for the day."
Oh,
No, thank you.
yeah.
Also,
To which my parents replied, "Here you go."
Wow.
They said, "We know you need help today."
now, did they feed your parents before they got the stomach flu? Did they happen to bring over a casserole?
No.
We
They
made
missed
this Chinese food for you. Eat it tonight at 8 p.m.
So they took Lucy for the day, and they brought her back at the end. Now, this is 1980.
A different
This is
time.
1981, I think. No, 1983. I'm sorry, Lucy. 1983. This is 1983, and it was a different time. And they took the baby for the day, and they brought her back at the end of the day, by which point my parents were a lot better. It probably was food poisoning.
If you should feel sick, take these pills right around the time you do.
And they brought Lucy back, and my parents came to find out that later that Mark and Menta were both practicing psychics.
Oh, geez.
And they had met because Mark had been a minister at a Christian church, and Menta was the organist. And they fell in love, and they left the church and started
A cult.
a cult. No, they didn't start a cult, but they did start.
Always on the tip of my tongue.
You really want that. I can feel it. And so they went into alternative practices, should we say. And another anecdote from these two. When Lucy was a little older, probably around my daughter's age, so a little over a year, at the stage where, you know, they're just putting everything in their mouths, Minta brought over, knocked on the door one day, as she, I guess, was wont to do.
How close did they live to your...
I don't think
Like 100 miles away.
she's driving.
Your timing, Menta, is impeccable.
They're amazing. She actually rode a unicorn to get to them every
45-minute flight by unicorn.
That's right. That's right. So she shows up at the door, knocks on the door, and is holding this. My mom calls it a canister, which I think is interesting. I've always pictured it as a jar, but it's this canister of polished amethysts, little stones.
Sure.
And she says, "These are for Lucy." My mom's thinking, this is not a great gift for a child, but
Joking hazard.
okay. And Menta says, "These are for Lucy. She, in a past life, was born into royalty, and she had
my
nice
goodness.
things around her. And as she grows, you need to keep these close and keep them with her, so that it will be important for her to see and hear and learn, and they will facilitate that. And she's accustomed to nice things, and you need to keep these close to her."
Oh, well, thank you, Menta. Come in and make us another one of your mushroom omelets.
Special meals.
And then Menta's like, I don't have much time. They're after me. Put these in her room.
So they all developed a friendship, obviously, and as
That sealed the deal.
That sealed the deal. So their daughter was probably around 15 or 16 when she met my parents. And then when she was college age, she went to college on the East Coast. And by that point, my parents had moved back to the East Coast. And Kara's parents came with her because their life was very flexible and fluid, and they were psychics, and that's what they did. I think Mark was also a medium. No, one of them was also a medium, and I think Minta would read people's past lives. And so they moved to the East Coast, and they invited my parents over for dinner. They lived and to eat them as dinner. Dinner. They lived on a lake, a really beautiful lake, a house on a lake, and they had my parents over, and they all sat down to dinner. And around, my mom said it really started kind of the second they got there, but it took her a little bit to understand what was happening. But their house phone kept ringing, and Mark would leave the table to go answer the phone. And then he'd come back, and twice she overheard the conversations he was having. The first one was, she just heard a little bit of it, but it was
how many children are there? Bring all the babies. Yes, under the full moon I shall be there by the lake.
God, were you there?
In a single canoe. Yeah.
You overheard him say, "No, do not sell. I will tell you when to sell." So was that the conversation. The second one was, and by this point he's irritated because it's the middle of dinner. He gets up, he goes to the other room.
Let it ring, Mark. Let it ring.
Well, so he answers it. Hello. Okay. If the ghost is in the kitchen, just stay in the living room.
Wow, that's good advice.
It is fantastic advice.
Right. So they learn, I guess, that Mark and Menta spoke to people all over the world. All the time. So there's no real concept of convenience or time or
boundaries.
And they were very high profile psychics and had a lot of really, well-to-do, interesting clientele.
Cool. Love that stuff.
It's really neat. And the last little anecdote is not really much of one at all, but my mom says she remembers him telling her a story one time about this very impactful and very highly secretive seance they did with a royal family.
Oh,
but I'm not allowed to say that.
Interesting.
And
I can guess which one it might be.
About contacting someone from beyond.
Oh.
And so, okay, the point of all this is
talking what I think we're talking about.
That's right. No. So the point being, I grew up in a house where we were really open to this stuff, but not my parent. I mean, I would say my dad would identify as a anti-establishment hippie for some parts of his life, and my mom is a little bit of a different ilk, but they're both.
She's a strict Methodist.
That's right. But they're both really open to this.
Did they ever treat you differently because your sister was royalty?
Better fucking
you be nice to your sister. She is a princess.
Did I lose that? Is there
no.
Yeah, Lucy is a princess. Did I though? I can't hear. Can I hear?
You might have
Did I pull it? I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. I know how to fix that.
Help!
Oh.
Lift up your feet. That's what Michael calls me.
Michael's also an old Russian grandmother.
That's how I do talk to animals.
Well,
is that working?
Check.
That's how he talks to animals. I just want to reiterate.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to an animal.
You still are?
Can you hear?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Just this little plug.
You saved me. Yes, bring it on.
Did Mark or Menta ever have any insight into your life?
Yeah.
No, I was not part of the Mark and Menta journey.
You weren't in the Mark and Menta years.
I was not.
Mark and Menta got canceled before you came around.
What's the age difference between you and your sister?
3.5 years.
Interesting. So do you does that hold weight with you? Past lives and psychic powers and stuff like that?
I am not sure.
Have you ever had a weird experience with your baby? Like, has your baby ever done anything where you're like, how did this baby know this?
Not yet. She has not yet. But I mean, I don't know about you guys, and everyone is different in this regard. But I lost a lot of people from the ages of like 8 to 15, and it was kind of like boom, 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 and I felt them always, and I still at times feel them in different places in different moments, and have had them speak to me at different times. And I'm married to a man who does not believe in this, in that he is very logical and practical, and he can connect the dots, and he can dive into a brain and say, well, of course this connection happened, and he's not wrong. There are biological explanations for almost everything, but
I'm not interested in those. What I am interested in is how when you said you talk or you get messages, how does that manifest?
So the most poignant story is that when I was 17 or 18, I was at NYU for one semester briefly after high school. And I got a phone call at about 5 p.m. that my best friend from high school, his mother, had been battling breast cancer, and we thought she was going to be okay. And then she suddenly went into a coma. And I got a call from my mom that said, you need to come home. So I flew home, and I spent the night at the hospital with him and his family that night. She was like another mother to me. And we were there all night, sort of we all knew we were kind of just waiting, but we weren't really sure what was happening yet. And the next morning, we woke up probably around 5:36 a.m. on the waiting room floor, and my friend said to me, you go home, take a shower, come back. And I really didn't want to leave, but people ask you things, and usually they're asking really for them. And I wondered, do you need this space? Is this so okay? I'll leave. So I went home, and I showered, and I got in bed, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to close my eyes just for, and then you're gone. And while I was asleep, I had this dream, and his mom was we spent a lot of time in high school studying on he had these twin beds in his room, and we spent a lot of time in high school studying on those beds, watching TV, talking. And she was in his bed, and she was wearing this plaid shirt, and her face was young the way I always knew it, but her hair was gray, like she'd aged. And she said, I love you, and I'll miss you, and please look after my children, love my family.
Strange dream.
And I woke up to my phone ringing, and it was my friend, and he said, you need to come back. And I came back, and we took her off life support, and we said goodbye. And I held her hand, and he held the other hand. We all sort of got some time with her, and then he left me alone with her in the room. And I said to her, I thank you for coming to me, and I hear you, and I will, and I love you. And it's just always stuck with me. I really feel like I got to say goodbye to her in another plane, in another way. And
Totally.
Yep.
We've heard very, very similar stories. Jen Kirkman's grandma members showed up in her dream right before she passed.
Yeah.
And I think there was another one too that we had, but that's a common. We were talking before the show about how like there's that we bring it up all the time, that 3-day window it seems to be where kind of like you get messages from people who are passing or have just passed. So yeah, we totally subscribe to that on
absolutely.
Completely.
It's a good word for it too, on another plane or another. Yeah, absolutely.
On a not happier, because actually that is a very warm memory for me, but on the life side of things, before my daughter was born, she was 2 weeks late, which was just absolute hell. I mean, oh my God, no. You do not ever need to be 42 and a half weeks pregnant. But the last couple weeks of my pregnancy, I just, everywhere I looked, she was supposed to be born on September. My due date was the 24th of September, and she was born on October 8th.
Whoa, October 8th was my due date, and I
funny.
was 2 weeks late.
No way! Look at that.
Synchronicity.
I love it.
Blah.
Michael, just real quick, have you ever been a guest on your podcast?
Every week.
It's so true. Thank you for saying that.
What I'm here for. Shine a light, open some doors.
God, really?
So when I was pregnant at the end, everywhere I looked, there were June bugs. I mean, I don't know if I'd ever really seen a June bug in LA, and we don't.
I certainly haven't.
It wasn't a thing I really knew about. I mean, we grew up with cicadas on the East Coast. You know, that's like, I love a cicada. I love their weird. I don't know if you guys know about cicadas and how they hibernate for like 8 to 10 years, and then they
that's wild.
Creepy.
Like
That's
the coolest
big
thing
fan.
of all time. Big fan.
June bugs were just fat bugs that just tend to die around my garage.
There you go. There you go.
Like,
I had never noticed them here, and I think that is something that really speaks to me. Is once you open your mind, your eyes, your heart to something, you tend to start seeing it or feeling it more often. Like a word you've never heard, and then you hear it 3 times that day. It's so strange. And so many of these things are always around us, and we're not listening because there's a lot to pay attention to and a lot we have to focus on. It's hard to quiet your mind and see these things. But like the June bug, for example, it started to be her. So when I'd see a June bug, I would know it was my daughter saying like, I'm coming, but not today.
Right.
And then I stopped seeing them, and then she's born. And it's always stuck with me, and it kind of became a thing with my family. We called her June bug those last 2 weeks, which we don't anymore. Her name is Mabel, after my grandmother. And
June bug's cute nickname.
June bug's pretty cute.
It's cute.
I know, it's so
Could be her
sweet.
spirit insect.
I think it is, and it will always be to me. But I love stuff like that, and
it's wild.
feel very connected to it. And for me, what connects me to that is loss, and knowing that, and looking for sometimes, sure, but also just knowing that if you say, "Hey, are you there? Can I feel you?" Usually the thing you're looking for will say, "Yes, I am." And I think until you experience something like that, you could be a skeptic because, well, you don't know what it feels like.
I also think you're a good example. I mean, just sitting with you and speaking with you, I feel like you're definitely an empathetic person.
Yeah.
And I feel like, sometimes it is just, there's some wiring in certain people's brains that kind of tune them into this stuff a little bit more. So I wouldn't be surprised if you had a little bit of that,
I was thinking that same thing. It sounds like you're very kind of in tune with those type of elements. You know what I mean?
I feel like if you dug in and explored a little bit, you might be able to unlock it even more.
I don't think you're wrong. I would certainly like to think that.
Any interest in that? Any interest in going down the path?
Well,
would you like to initiate yourself into witchery?
Michael, light those candles next to you.
Initiate myself. I'm the leader. Well, you guys had one of my very best, nearest, dearest, the best of all time, Anna O'Reilly.
Oh yeah, big fan.
Yes.
So I don't know. Did Anna
Your
talk?
parents sound similar too, by the way.
My parents in their
Like
empathetic connection, ability to connect.
Yeah,
so that's
yeah.
pretty accurate, especially my mom.
Also, she completely hid the fact from us that she does tarot card readings.
So that's where I'm going. If Michael ever lets
I found
people
this out
talk on his
afterwards. I was
podcast.
like, Anna O'Reilly, what business do you have
Why didn't
keeping
you talk
this
about
skill
it?
from?
Yeah.
She just didn't bring us. She's like, oh, I'll come back and do tarot card readings for you. And I was like, damn straight you will.
I think that's a great idea, and it should be a full episode. And she'll talk you through what she wants to do, but I would imagine she probably would want to pull 3 cards for each of you.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Anyway, she reads
Anna,
tarot.
if you're listening, you're coming back on the show.
She's
very cross with you.
I'm sure she will listen.
Celtic cross.
She is a
Get
great
it?
friend.
Totally.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
But yes, Anna is my my friendship, spiritual, more tarot than astrology, though she's really well versed, even though she says that she doesn't speak the language. She actually really does speak the language. And anyway, she is my friendship connection to all those things, and that's been a really fun bond to have and person to look to explore that kind of.
I understand what that
stuff.
feels like. I have it with these 2 guys sitting right here. Except it's about a big old stinky Sasquatch.
Oh, God. Woo.
Speaking of which, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it's time for this week's story of high strangeness.
Sure is.
With Julianna Guill, a.k.a. Bubby.
Creep. You're going to do all right here, kid.
You're not leaving, Julianna. We're keeping you around.
And they never saw her again.
We have bodies in those guitar cases.
Hey, Mike, are you familiar with the work of Dr. Ian Stevenson?
I am, in fact, familiar with the work of Dr. Ian Stevenson. I've been reading a book lately called...
We do this all the time.
I'm reading that Jason Blubus book slowly.
Okay.
About the life and times of Bigfoot.
Right.
And it's sort of an academic skeptic's take on the cultural phenomenon that is Bigfoot. But there's a whole chapter on Yeti, which I just read, but did not take notes.
Well, no, I mean, that's totally something. Ian Stevenson was a guy on Past
Disney
Lives.
show, Ian
Never
Stevens?
mind.
Oh, totally different guy.
I thought there was a guy in Tibet with the last name of Stevenson who... Okay,
No.
let's ignore everything I just said.
We'll cut that
Let's cut
out.
this shit. Okay.
Sum
Ask
this
me
up.
the question again.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's up, Bryce?
Have you ever heard of a Dr. Ian Stevenson?
In fact, I have not.
Okay. Well, speaking on Past Lives, he was a doctor who based the soul of his work on trying to prove the existence of reincarnation, just going back to what we were talking about earlier.
Oh, I thought you were kicking off this week's story of high strangeness.
That would have been the proper
with
thing to do.
Past life. I thought you were going to be like, oh boy, how are we going to leap from this guy to what you're about to talk about?
Let's just cut that out. Let's just jump
No,
right in.
I like all of it.
Anyway, but he would talk
You're
to...
abusing the powers of cutting.
Well, I guess there's a segue
well-oiled
because
machine,
I know.
Really? Yes, welcome.
He started his research in Tibet, so it sort of does segue, but he was interested in these young kids who would describe their past lives in complete detail when they were around 3, 4, 5 years old, but they would describe a time and place that they could know nothing about.
There is that awesome 2020 special from years ago about the kid who...
The pilot?
Yes, remembered he was
That's
a
right.
World War II pilot,
World War II pilot.
and he could pick people out in pictures of books.
Yeah, and he had an encyclopedic
He died in Iwo
knowledge
Jima.
of aviation. Yeah.
That shit is nuts. If you can find
but
that...
didn't they dive in and disprove this?
How?
I'm not
I can't
sure.
remember, but can we look that up later? Because it kind of does haunt me, and I am obsessed with it.
Oh,
But I love this story, but I do think they...
by the
Well,
way...
even if they did, that wouldn't discount the thousands of cases that Dr.
There you go.
Stevenson researched. And
Guys,
yeah.
I forgot something.
What?
Bullshit or believe it.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't play bullshit or believe it.
All right, well, jump in.
Well, go on. Finish your point about Stevenson, and then I'll...
Okay, reincarnation is real. Go.
Okay. So, God, I'm an idiot. Julianna, we have a game we like to play on this show. It's called Bullshit or Believe It. I go down a list of rapid fire rapid fire list, and you answer bullshit if you believe in it. I mean, wait a minute. Bullshit. Fuck.
Focus.
The good thing is...
She knew what you meant.
already understand the
Great.
game,
Yeah, that's right.
and I am ready to play.
Okay, great.
She's ready to go.
So, here we're going to go.
Let's take a window into Julianna's psyche.
Pause while I look for it.
We've been making this show for over a year.
You wouldn't know
Every
it.
single week.
I stayed up late watching this documentary.
Oh, man.
Shit. Hold on. Here we go. This is all cut. Cut.
Now you're abusing the cut.
No. It's so much fun.
Remember when I held a phone to my ear and listened for over a minute?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was
Good
cool.
radio.
Yeah.
Julianna, Guill, bullshit or believe it. On your mark. Get set. Ghosts.
Believe it.
UFOs.
Bullshit.
Bigfoot.
Bullshit.
Angels.
Believe it.
Gnomes.
Believe it.
Boy, I'm so confused. Fairies. Berries.
Oh, they said berries. I was like, I love raspberries.
Berries. Blueberries.
Fairies. Bullshit.
Unicorns.
Bullshit.
Loch Ness Monster.
Bullshit.
Gray aliens.
Bullshit.
Parallel universes.
Believe it.
Mermaids.
Bullshit.
Heaven.
I don't know.
Heaven.
I don't know.
Heaven.
He wants you to play by the rules and say bullshit or believe it.
I won't.
Good for
I wish you
you.
could see his face right now.
Rule breaker.
Dear
The
listener.
unstoppable force meets the immovable object. Hell.
Bullshit.
Dragons.
Bullshit.
Yeti.
Bullshit.
Elves.
Believe it.
ESP.
Believe it.
Chupacabra.
Believe it.
Good for you.
Demons.
Bullshit.
Atlantis.
Believe it.
Life on other planets.
Believe it.
World peace. Peace in the multiverse.
Understand.
Good
Nice.
job.
Good job.
That was good job. Good job.
Micah, you should have seen both your and I faces when UFOs. Bullshit. We were both, what? Probably the
You
one,
don't believe in UFOs?
the one thing on that list that has the most evidence.
You think UFOs are bullshit?
Do I think that unidentified flying objects exist? Yes. Do I think that UFOs in the context of this exist? No.
Awesome.
You're going to have to come back at a different time.
There's a knock at the door.
That's probably Ryan.
I hope Ryan will join us for the rest of this
It's open.
episode.
Don't tell him you don't believe in UFOs.
Okay, shit. Shh.
All right. We're back.
We didn't resolve the UFOs are bullshit thing, but it's
No.
fine. We're just going to move on from that.
No, I know. It's so funny.
We got to keep going.
I know. Yes, let's move on.
All right.
Okay, so I have today's story of high strangeness for you, and it is that of the abominable snowman, a.k.a. Yeti. For centuries, locals and travelers alike have reported tales of a huge ape-like creature living in the snowy wilderness of Nepal, and is said to inhabit the Himalayan and Siberian regions of East Asia. The Yeti and the abominable snowman are one and the same thing, not to be confused with his Western counterpart, Sassy, or Sasquatch, which is an entirely different entity and creature altogether, yet somehow, I believe they are connected. The Yeti is said to be an ape-like creature that's taller than the average human, muscular and covered in light-covered thick fur, although there are variations on this, with some eyewitnesses reporting a darker fur coat possibly even gray or reddish. And an important distinction between Bigfoot and the Yeti is that the snowman has been linked to that more of a bear than an ape. There are also disparities in its stance. Some report a tall, upright beast, while others report a smaller type creature that walks on all fours and stands when threatened or fearful. Although one thing everyone can agree on is its territory. It resides in the Himalayan regions of Nepal, Bhutan, and Tibet, and has been a part of their culture of the indigenous peoples of that region for centuries. However, it wasn't until the 19th century that stories of the Yeti first emerged worldwide and became a fascination in popular culture and entered the realms of modern mythological creatures and monsters. It was this fascination that gave the Yeti its alternative name, the Abominable Snowman. When in 1921, journalist Henry Newman interviewed members of the British Mount Everest reconnaissance expedition who claimed to have encountered large footprints that their guides called Meto Kamzi. Translated, this meant man-bear, snowman. However, Newman mistakenly thought it meant filthy snowman, so he changed it to the abominable snowman, and the term stuck. Generally, scientists regard the Yeti as a legend, but until there is conclusive proof that it doesn't exist, then it remains that the eyewitness accounts and stories are perhaps true. Yeti is one of the world's most popular cryptids, right next to Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster, and scientists and cryptozoologists have long debated its existence. Over the years, unexplained footprints, elongated bones, strange tufts of hair all seem to indicate that an undiscovered species is living in the Himalayan wilderness. However, in 2017, reports emerged claiming that the Yeti was just a bear. With the help of modern science, scientists have begun testing samples from modern museums and private collections that reported to be the remains of a Yeti. A scrap of skin said to be from the paw of a Yeti proved to be an Asian black bear, and a femur bone found in a cave in Tibet belonged to a Tibetan brown bear. They also tested various Yeti hair, teeth, bone, and fecal matter samples, all of which seemed to belong...
Bryce, I have to stop you there. Julianna does not like to talk about poop.
I'll leave that out.
Thank you. Please cut
hair,
that.
teeth, bone, and blank samples of which belonged
By the way,
Asian
I have a
black
child,
bears.
and I talk about poop all the time.
Anyway, despite hundreds of expeditions into the remote mountainous regions of the Himalayas, the existence of the Yeti remains unproven. However, there have been a few unexplained sightings and footprints over the years. The first public report of a Yeti sighting came in 1925 when Greek photographer N.A. Tompasi claimed to have witnessed a Yeti at 15,000 feet in the Himalayas. In a statement, Tompasi described what he saw unquestionably. The figure in the outline was exactly like a human being, walking upright and stopping occasionally to uproot and pull out some bushes. It showed up dark against the snow and, as far as I could make out, wore no clothes. The sightings caused quite a stir, although Tompasi himself did not believe he had seen a Yeti. Instead, he thought the figure he had observed was probably a traveling hermit. During the Second
Just
World
a
War...
naked hermit
Naked old
plucking
man.
some rhododendrons off the
Kinda
mountainside.
shoots himself in the foot there, doesn't he? The sightings caused quite a stir, although Tompasi himself... Oh, I said that. Instead, he thought the figure he had observed... And I said that. During the Second World War, a Polish soldier claimed he escaped
Didn't say that.
from a Siberian gulag and traveled through the Gobi Desert in Tibet and the Himalayas to get to British India. In a debated account of the journey that featured in his ghost-written book, The Long Walk,
Yeah.
he claimed that as he was walking across the Himalayas, his path was blocked by two Yetis. In 1951, respected British explorer Eric Shipton was looking for an alternative route up Mount Everest when he stumbled across a large footprint that appeared to be hominoid. He took photos, of which I have a copy here. Oops, damn, ripped the wrong page.
That was very dramatic.
I was so bold about it. You want to pass that along?
those around.
There you go. That appeared to be hominoid. He took photos of the print, placing a pickaxe near it for comparison. The pictures caused a sensation and renewed public's interest in the existence of Yeti. In one startling case, somewhere deep in the frozen tundra, a soldier was on a routine scouting mission when all of a sudden he was ambushed by a large, half-man, half-bear with curled horns and frightening teeth.
Horns?
Covered in thick white fur.
That sounds like a wampa.
The creature attacked the soldier, knocking him unconscious, only to be dragged back to the beast's mountain lair, where he was hung upside down like some sort of meat sickle waiting to be eaten.
Wampa.
That is definitely a wampa.
It was only when the soldier regained consciousness, discovered where he was, and the peril that he was
Used
in,
the force to
that he managed to
grab his lightsaber,
locate his
and then
special
help the
sword.
rebellion flee the planet Hoth.
Locate his special sword that had fallen below in the snow-packed ice. And focusing all of his energy, he somehow managed to obtain the saber in the nick of time, cut himself free just as the white mank was approaching, and slice off the monster's arm, and barely escape with his life. A recent photo surfaced in 2016 and went viral on the internet. The large, shaggy white figure walking upright was allegedly spotted roaming a ski resort in northeastern Spain. Remarkably, there was some debate about what the creature could be, with some suggesting it was a polar bear, while others were convinced it was a real Yeti. On the other hand, it could be a complete hoax, right? Although the name Abominable Snowman is a modern term, the Yeti has been around for centuries, and its origins can be traced back to pre-Buddhist civilizations. In particular, those who lived in the Himalayan mountain region and in some communities, the Yeti was a revered glacier being known as the god of the hunt. In 326 BC, it's alleged that Alexander the Great demanded to see a Yeti when he conquered the Indus Valley.
I want to see a Yeti. I want it.
Am I Alexander the Great, or am I Alexander the Lesser? I want a Yeti now.
I want
Well.
the Yeti.
The locals responded by telling him that it was not
the whole
possible
I want
Yeti.
the whole Yeti.
because the creature could not survive at low altitude. Although in most ancient accounts the Yeti is a figure of danger, and like most legends, terrifying encounters were told, an ape-like creature that carried a large stone as a weapon and made a whistling swoosh sound. Often these tales were encountered and recounted around campfires to warn children of the dangers of wandering off on their own. So from a young age, people who lived in the mountainous areas of the Himalayas have been brought up to believe in the hidden dangers of this ape-like creature that supposedly inhabit their region. Consequently, when Western mountaineers started to travel to the Himalayas in the 19th century, the myth evolved further and further, and the Yeti was portrayed as a terrifying bipedal hybrid that should be avoided. At local Buddhist monasteries, Yeti is worshipped and believed in thought. They think that you cannot always see it, and that the Kungjun monasteries there is a supposed Yeti scalp kept in a special box, although the monks are very reluctant to show it to outsiders. Looking at all the evidence leaves one to wonder, how likely is it that Yeti exists? Could it just be a myth that has been exaggerated over the years, or is there really a bipedal half-man, half-bear living quietly in the freeing wilderness of the Himalayas? After all, every legend and story has to come from somewhere. And the Yeti is not a modern phenomenon, being one of the most enduring monster mysteries of all. Well, while many Yeti sightings have been debunked, still some unexplained physical evidence remains that may support its existence, such as unfamiliar track, hairs, tree damage, and unidentified remains. The existence of the Yeti has baffled historians and explorers for decades, and with the belief that there are a lot of creatures that are still undiscovered, who's to say the Yeti is one of them? Maybe some kind of hybrid bear or ape species. With modern science now able to extract DNA from the oldest remains, this creature does exist, then eventually it will be found. There certainly is no shortage of cryptid interest enthusiasts fascinated by the subject who are keen to continue searching. The question is, do you think the Yeti, the big white ape-like creature, is residing in the snowy wilderness? I do. Yeah. That's how you button it right there, with a nice yeah.
When all else fails.
Yeah.
You were raised by jazz musicians. Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Riley, do you always live score the?
Yeah. The
Really?
stories are like,
No, you
Really
mean, Riley, you mean,
beautiful.
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
It was very. I was very haunting and really compelling.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a nice addition to the
is.
show. Well done, well
Thanks,
told.
guys.
It's fascinating to me. I feel like with Sasquatch, we have a lot of real, colorful encounter stories, like Albert Ostman, right? Who's
It's true.
like. And with Yeti, it seems that there are people who go in search of the legend and might find some footprints or see things at a distance, but do we know of any real encounter stories with the Yeti? People who have claimed to have come face to face with this thing?
You know, I think you have to chalk it up to it kind of pales in comparison, and really that's just because the remoteness of the wilderness that it inhabits. I mean, you know, when you're talking about the people that encounter Sasquatch or Bigfoot, we're talking about, you know, the Pacific Northwest and all, you know, every state across America. And, you know, there's just not a lot of people who are trekking into the Himalayan mountains, unfortunately. So no,
That's probably good. I mean, Mount Everest is pretty tough to get up
yeah,
there.
it's pretty, and covered in dead bodies
I've done
and
it.
trash. Really, that's right.
Yeah.
I sense a lie coming from
No.
Did you encounter any?
Is this the ghost talking?
Who?
The ghost? Is the ghost back?
Where am I?
Exactly.
We don't know sometimes, but yeah, no. So I think you just get a lot less people having these sort of encounter stories because obviously it's freezing and in high altitude.
It does seem to me like as much. Look, I want to believe in Yeti more than anything else.
Me too.
I also love the Matterhorn ride at Disneyland.
Yeah.
And that is a great Yeti encounter. But this one really feels more like it's a folk tale to me, more so than Bigfoot.
No, I know. I tend to agree with that, and I got a little despondent because when you're looking, when you're researching Yeti, you find there was a guy named Brian Sykes out of Oxford University who did a comparative study, and he gathered around 30 different samples of people's supposed Yeti specimens, whether it be hair or blank or other stuff like that. And 28 of the cases came back to be that of
bear.
Of bear. What an interesting thing that he did discover was thought to be a lost extinct cousin of the polar bear. Of the Pliocene age or something like that.
That sounds really
that got
right.
debunked.
But then that got debunked as well.
Which that's cool.
By other scientists that
we were
we
this
about that.
close.
Yeah.
We were so close to finding a new bear.
No, I know. And the interesting thing about Bigfoot DNA analysis is that it sometimes most of the time it comes back anomalous as being part human, part primate. And so there's some definite indiscrepancies there that can lead one to go, well, it's not this or it's not that, which leaves a lot of mystery to it. But with this Yeti hair sample, it seems to always come back conclusively as part Himalayan. I didn't know there were that many frickin' bears up there, but apparently there is.
Himalayas, lots of frickin' bears.
Question about the
Yes.
DNA analysis of the part primate, part human. Is that because
of a secret program combining men and
Yes,
apes
it is, Michael. That's
happening
right.
Create a super soldier.
beneath Mount Shasta?
God, I'm glad I asked and
Yeah.
Right.
asked
The
and
answer's yes.
answered.
Yes,
No,
yes.
what's your question?
Could that be because things tend to degenerate over time, and those DNAs are so closely linked that potentially there are polymers that disappear and can't really be looked at, and that's why.
That's an interesting theory, and that might account for some. But some of the most interesting DNA samples.
I'm no scientist.
Yeah, we did a whole episode on the Snellgrove Lake incidents where they were able to get some. They basically it's this cabin deep in Canada, and it's only available. You can only get there by plane. And anyway, they thought these Bigfoots were. Harassing the cabin, so they put on near the door what would a doormat be? Only these
They pulled a Kevin McAllister and set up some movie
totally
Home
pulled a
Alone
Kevin
style
McAllister.
movie traps.
Really
for this
were,
Bigfoot.
Yeah, and they put these screws in, these 3-inch screws, and when they came back, there was this skin and hair sample with some blood, and they were able to analyze that, but they found that it had no medulla. The hairs, no, that's part of the brain. But they found that it had
Fun
no.
to say, though.
She knows.
Yeah.
She finished the phrase.
Right,
Also, I
of
said
course.
polymers meant telomeres,
Of
but whatever,
course.
it's fine. Nobody cares.
okay.
Nobody
Yeah,
cares.
no, and anyway, there's some other discrepancies between hair
Once
samples
again,
of human and
just clone it. Clone the sample and see
Yeah.
what you get.
That's
Right.
a great idea.
Well, the problem is
Why won't anyone clone it?
the problem is when they take these hair samples in and they place them against the genome database, there is nothing on record that exists to compare it to. So all the tests usually come back inconclusive because unless scientists had a body on the table where they could actually pull from and have it peer reviewed hair samples of a supposed Bigfoot, then they would have something to compare it to. But they don't. So it's usually left inconclusive.
So why don't top DNA scientists in the world? Why aren't we doing that? Why isn't it a bigger issue? People love discovering new species. They care deeply about the investigation of our environment.
It's scientific death. I mean, there's still a taboo around these subjects.
Stigma.
And a stigma. And when you're a scientist looking into whether it's UFOs, Bigfoot, or any sort of paranormal
Catch a
venture,
lot of shit
you catch a lot of
peers.
slack.
But what if it's from the perspective of not even looking at it that way, but there's this there's a sample of DNA we don't understand. That seems like reason enough to.
Well, one would think, wouldn't they? And I
investigate
tend to agree with you. I mean, that's why we're here talking about this stuff. Is this should be a fascination that overpowers.
When you leave, there's actually a coffee can, a Folgers can. If you could just drop a couple quarters in there, that's for our DNA fund to help.
I've actually decided
We're raising a little
I'm
bit of money.
gonna
We're gonna
go
clone him.
back to school. I'm gonna get my master's in neuropsychobiology, and
hey.
Awesome. Michael brings up a good point too, because running a DNA sample is around $2,500 to $3,000. So
That's
yeah,
guys.
Bargain.
Guys,
That's some cheap science.
I gotta tell you, that
Yeah.
doesn't sound like a lot of money for centuries of wonder.
Yeah.
you make a strong point.
Well, we have to wrap up, but I want to ask our guests quickly before we go. What the hell is that? What do you think is going on up there?
Where?
In Tibet, on Mount Everest.
Oh,
What do you think's
there.
happening?
I wasn't
In the
listening.
Himalayas. Riley, tune that guitar. We got to go back.
I think that it's a bear.
Yeah.
I think it's a bear.
I like the hermit idea, but
I
that
love the hermit. Very creepy. Very Lord of the Rings. I'm into that.
maybe it's a hobbit.
Maybe it's a
Maybe
hermit that
it's-
befriended a bear.
I often
Yes,
I often
and they got
sometimes-
too close.
You know what keeps me onto this mystery is when you review some of the cases in Russia, they have something that's called the Menk. And it's in similar type territories, and there's no disparity between those type of encounters that you were talking about, Michael, and what they run across when they see these, and video and photographic evidence.
And lest
of a
we not
large-
forget the Dyatlov Pass incident,
that's
which
right.
is the craziest and also might involve a Yeti.
That's right, absolutely. And there's a plethora of photographic and video evidence of some sort of hairy biped creature that seems to be haunting the area. There's a great video on YouTube of these two hikers. They're up in the Himalayas, and they focus their camcorder onto this walking creature, almost like 30 miles away, and it is making tremendous strides up a snowy bank. And you could hear their wonderment as just like, what are we watching? And I've seen the video over and over.
Yeah, we'll
and
put that in the.
It's not a bear, and it's obviously not a person, because they are making.
Might
they're-
be CGI.
Here's where I stand.
yeah, that one might just be fake.
There's
But
a-
send it. We'll post it
We'll
on
post
the show
it.
links.
Yeah.
There is a lot that we do not know about this planet and this
Yeah.
universe, and there's a lot we will never know if we don't protect it and try to
That's a good.
Well,
Amen to
yeah,
that.
hell yeah.
attempt to. I'm very open to it. I think about, you ask about mermaids, and I love that mermaids were manatees to sailors, and I love, and you think about Loch Ness, you think about megalodon
Well, I would disagree
sharks
with the
and-
mermaid thing.
Oh, would you? Would you, Bigfoot
Bryce is a
podcast?
firm believer. In
I don't want to
mermaids.
talk about it now, but there might be some evidence otherwise.
Sure. And I'm very into it. I think we don't know, and I love the desire to know.
No,
and
listen,
to
you
look
said
into
a
it.
mouthful. The world is a mysterious place.
That was a mouthful.
and no, it's true, and to think that we have all the answers, and for science to reduce and to materialize the unknown is a vast tragedy. So
I do too.
Wow.
Guys,
It's the sad song of the Yeti.
yeah,
here's how I would like to wrap up.
Great.
Okay, great, thank you. When Michael emailed me this spiel on your guests and who comes on and what you guys talk about, and then he said, if you collect anything, we'd love to know that.
It's been a while since we've done a collector's corner.
But I thought about it because I don't, and
He's not a nerd.
good.
I thought about it, and then I replied to Michael, and I said, and it occurred to me, wait, yeah, you do. I collect friends. I love friends,
Oh,
and I really thought about that, and I'm really happy to meet you guys,
Well, we
and
feel
thanks
the
for having
same
me.
way.
And Bubby, I love people. And
Hey,
this is really nice.
your club card is in the mail.
Oh, great!
Yeah.
Thank you. Great.
Absolutely,
soon.
official member.
Thank you, Julianna. Anything you want to plug before we take off? This is
No.
anything? Okay, cool.
I like that you transitioned from this very sincere declaration of friendship to
Any,
so what you want to plug?
Any commercial chili you need to throw out there?
You know what? Nope.
Instagram or anything?
Yeah,
find
I do the Instagram. Official J Guill. That's
Okay,
my
cool.
Instagram.
Awesome.
We'll look you up.
Well, thank you so much for being on the
Thanks
show.
for having me.
Bryce, Riley, anything before we wrap up?
Check out that Patreon. We just made a really good one that I'm excited about.
Yes.
I would agree.
And also, as you'll have already heard before this show kicked off. We have T-shirts available now
Oh,
and
yeah.
merch over at TeePublic, Bigfoot Collectors Club. Go find us there.
Do guests get free T-shirts?
They do now.
Yes. When they arrive, you will get them. But yeah, we have shirts, guys. Finally, the logo shirts, and you can put it, you can select a bunch of different merch within it. So definitely check that out. Write to us at BigfootCollectorsClub at gmail.com.
I thought you were going to give an actual address.
And like
A letter.
yeah, we'd love those too, but we need to still haven't set up our PO box.
Yeah, we've
so.
got to do a lot of things.
All right, guys, thank you so much. We will see you next week on the show. In the meantime, Bryce, what should they do?
Ain't that
Their
the question?
Eyes on the
Keep your eyes on the
that used to
skies.
be your old, that used to be your old phrase.
What?
All right, here we go. On your way out, Bryce, describe infinity.
Oh, fuck. All right, I was thinking about this the other day. I can't remember it, though. But, okay, so infinity would be like, how do I want to put this today? Oh, man, that's a tough one. Okay.
This answer is infinity.
Well, it really is.
Come on.
Okay, all right. So infinity would be like, okay. I don't know where to start on this. I used to.
Because it's so bad.
Good night,
It's so
everybody.
fast. It's so fast. Oh, man. Anyway. All right.